All right, have and have not fans, and I apologize up front. I know this video is technically late. If you didn't see that I posted on Twitter and Instagram, and this is why you need to definitely follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Instead of watching the haves and the have-nots, I actually went to go see Aladdin. There was the 10:30 showing, and yes, I know technically I could have watched the episode, then watched the movie, then come back and do my review, but for whatever reason, OWN didn't release their little clips before the episode aired. Typically around between like noon and 5 p.m. they release like 3 to 5 clips, depending on the content of those clips. I actually do videos on them, but I didn't see anything until like 8 p.m. and the clips that were released, I'm like, you know what? There's not too much to these clips, and I've already done a lot of big videos between last week and Tuesday, like the Is Jeffrey Dead video, who's underneath the sheet, like whose body is David viewing, and several other videos as well. So I figure, you know what? The channel's doing very well. I don't want to oversaturate today. So I'll just go ahead and go to the movies. I had a good time. What's my ranking for Aladdin? I'll give it 2.5 magic lamps out of 5. Wasn't horrible, but it felt like more of a remember ABC's The Wonderful World of Disney, like on weekend, I think it was, what was it, like Sunday night they would play one movie. It felt like more of a Disney Channel movie, not a DCOM, but The Wonderful World of Disney live action film as opposed to a theatrical release. But I'll probably do an Aladdin review, and I know you probably don't want to hear about Aladdin in this video, so let's talk about Tomorrow's Not Promised. I'm not gonna lie, I just finished the episode. Honestly, I should not be recording anything because I've been up since 1 p.m. My head is banging right now, but I want to record this while it's fresh in my mind. I wanted to give this episode like an 8 or an 8.5, but I dare say that I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. I might change the score by the time I get to the end of this video. I'm looking at my notes now, and once I, kind of talk out loud about it, maybe I'll change my mind. But let me just explain 9 out of 10. What really annoyed me about this episode, and if you go back to my Is Jeffrey Dead, my trailer breakdown for Tomorrow's Not Promised, and then the video about whose body is David viewing, in one of those three, or if not all of them, I mentioned that I don't know if it's a good idea for Madison to just kind of jump to the conclusion that Jeffrey is a victim of a shooting, because I'm pretty sure, in real life, and yes, I know folks, I know it's a TV show, but I know I'm not the only YouTuber out there that reviews the show, and I know there are other fans of the show who think the same thing when they point out, look, in real world this wouldn't happen. And I'm no expert in the medical field, but I'm pretty damn sure that it isn't hospital policy for someone to, I guess you could say, jump the gun, excuse the expression, based off the situation with Jeffrey, and just call somebody's parents and all that down there to the hospital without getting conclusive evidence that, hey, your child was the one that was shot. So I think that, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think legally, and we're dealing with a judge and one hell of an attorney here, they could sue the hell out of the hospital for grief and false information, because Madison called, well, Keisha called Veronica, but then, Madison got David to come down to the hospital under the, hey, your son was possibly involved in the shooting. Look, the address, Spanish Moss Trail, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, that was not a good idea at all. And I was going to just rank the episode down a point or two for that. But the reason I want to give it a 9 out of 10, I feel the acting in this episode was great. I don't feel like there were any stiff performances. I felt like everyone just brought their A game. And this episode really gave us a small dose of this being the most emotional season ever. Like, I really felt that. For Angela just nailed the Veronica role. And if you go back to my Is Jeffrey Dead video, I even did a segment in there about Veronica actually does love her son. She loves David just like Candace is capable of loving Hannah, Benny, Quincy Jr., these characters just love control and power above all else, but they are capable of love. And yeah, they have a twisted way of showing it sometimes, but at the same time, the love is there. And I just feel like Angela just brought Veronica to a new level of damn. Like, I don't agree. She had a moment where she went on like a homophobic rant, but at the same time, she acted the hell out of that scene. I'm telling you, because these point values and whatnot, yeah, there are times where I dock points for being nitpicky and whatnot, but in terms of the overall episode, I think the acting was well. Even Wyatt, I did not mind Wyatt in this episode, because the reason being is I really got to feel like, damn, Wyatt is as I, wow, that sounded bad, in terms of my speech pattern. Wyatt sounded as ignorant and naive about what the Malones will do to him. Like, I don't care, as much as Catherine is about jail. And I really like that aspect of the mother and the son being ignorant. Kind of like, when Veronica went in on David, and I said in my video, I was like, look, I feel for David, but that's literally his fault, because he should have dragged Jeffrey's ass out of there. And guys, it's no secret that Jeffrey's alive. I think we know that based off the preview for next week and on the videos I did, plus the cliffhanger. Veronica knocks on the door and Jeffrey opens it. So did he and Justin just lay on the floor after being shot all night? Because this is clearly the next day, but that's discussion for my trailer breakdown video. But let me kind of get on a I guess you could say organized front here. So yeah, the beginning of the episode, Madison being frantic, Veronica and David go to the hospital. Kind of talked about all this stuff. Okay, we get to the Malone bar. We have a brief scene between Mitch and Sandy Malone. Basically, Sandy's having his breakfast of champions, being a beer, and Mitch is on the hunt for, well, he's on the, the mission of getting the $50,000 from the Criers and then $20,000 from Benny. And I might as well jump to the scene, and I really do like the scene where, Mitch goes up to the Catherine's house and talks with Jim. And this episode, Jim and Broderick were just shot down for their lies. And I wouldn't say that Veronica shot Madison down for lying. She just assumed he was lying, but he kind of just jumped to conclusions there. But I just love how, Jim at this point, there is no need of being smug. Like, the Malones know Wyatt put Vinny in the hospital. Like, I love how Mitch just cut through the bullshit. It's like, look, let's not play this game, man. I'm here to maintain the peace. And like Jim said, I could tell who you are by the uniform. And I think we are getting subtle glimpses of Mitch going into the family business, whether he wants to or not. So and I could be wrong about this, and I'll do a brief video on it as well. Mitch is asking for $75,000. Do you think that from that $75,000, 50,000 will be from, the payment for Wyatt, 20,000 will be the payment for Benny, and then Mitch will just keep 5,000 for himself? I'm thinking that's what's happening here. I could be wrong, but Mitch does deserve way more than $5,000 for everything he's been doing. So basically, hey, let's not waste any time. We need the money today in cash. There we go. And it was a good scene. And I didn't know that Vinny Malone was Mama Rose's son. So that means Mama Rose is, the head, of course. Then she had children. So who's Mama Rose's husband? Mitch is the grandson, obviously meaning that Mama Rose has children. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do a family tree video at some point. But anyway, Veronica wants to get all this evidence to present to the DA about putting Justin away for good. And we do know that based on future trailers, Justin is in jail. So Veronica does her homework. And let's see. Yeah, I already talked about Angela killing that scene. Madison says Jeffrey didn't make it. And Veronica doesn't believe it. That was just a great scene, guys. The acting was on point. And yeah, I know the people out there who just feel like, Veronica's disgusting for her distaste of, wow, I'm sorry, I had a brain fart there. Homosexual. She just has a distaste for all of them. Yeah, I agree. Even as a straight person myself, there's just a disgusting amount of hatred that she has towards that particular group of people. But at the same time, you cannot deny that Angela just slayed that scene. And that's why I really liked this episode. I felt like everyone's acting was on point. Wyatt's calling RK. My favorite bit is RK, and then on top of that, doesn't even know about, cars that are able to talk, if you will. But he says he got the goods. He's going to go back to the house, because if he doesn't, Wyatt's going to get Jim to call the cops and then report the vehicle is stolen. So yeah, RK is going to be in the next episode, as we know. Jim and Catherine, this scene, John Snyder did release it on at Tuesday, at 12:30 a.m. But I didn't want to do a video on it because I released the confirmation about season 9 video, and you see what I mean. Like, I dropped some lengthy videos, so I figured those getting enough traction to keep the channel going is reason for me to not do too many videos today. But Jim kind of overselling himself, like, you're dumb with money, and if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be who you are today, and that's his own discussion, but whatever. Not to just, brush over the scene, but really wasn't too much there, just Jim being the son of a bitch he is. Let's see here. I just love how Wyatt says, "Hey, Dad, someone's here." And that really goes to the Candace and Hannah scene, where I'll talk about that soon enough. Let's see, I already talked about Mitch. I already talked about Wyatt just not even knowing the seriousness of the situation. And I heard some people, I saw some comments on Facebook, in the Facebook group, where people were asking, why did Jim say participation award? My interpretation of that line is that we have the generation of young people coming up who are just handed things, kind of like Wyatt, just given a participation award for not recognizing the best of the best. It's just like, oh, well, you children the value of striving to be the best, or they just had spoon feed someone their entire life. They won't appreciate anything. They won't understand the seriousness of certain situations. And yeah, that's my interpretation of what Jim meant with that line. Yeah, and I actually took a brief pause. My brain was fading in, and I really need to get rest. And while editing the first chop of this review, if you hear background noise, once again, I apologize. I know I sound unprofessional compared to my usual composure, but the fan in my room is going, as well as the AC. It is very stuffy in my area right now, so I'm trying to overpower the sound of the AC with my voice. But actually, my voice is louder than the AC and everything. But when I up the volume when I'm editing so you can hear me clearly, there is a bit of background noise. So I do apologize for that. But like I said before, I am not well rested at the moment, but I did just watch the episode, and being the person I am, I had to record this while it's fresh in my mind. But jumping back into where I left off there, I think I left off at the part where Scott pretty much approaches Broderick at the hotel. Once again, the acting, you have Broderick, who was acting all suave and debonair, and he was in control of everything in the previous episode, but in this episode, Scott read his ass like a book. And didn't I tell you, if you go back to my video, who will expose Candace to the FBI, and I went over various suspects, and I said Broderick, he's on Candace's side, but when the other shoe drops, what is he going to do? I mean, go back, and that's why I say, guys, I urge you, if you have not done so, hit that subscribe button, the bell notification icon, check out my various playlists, because a lot of the things that happen in episodes, I've done theory videos on those things a week or so in advance. Like, there's a video I did about, and I don't mean to jump ahead in my episode review, but we get the ultimatum of, is Charles going to choose Candace or the White House? I did a couple videos on that already. Why is Charles turning his back on Candace? Will Charles choose Candace over the White House? There are so many videos I've already done on that. So be on the look. Don't be on the lookout. Go through my videos and you'll see. But yeah, this was a great scene. What was it? Broderick Massey's real name is Makeda. Did I say that right? I'm sorry. See, I watched The Flash season 5, not the entire season because it sucks. And like the villain's name was Cicada. and now it's like Makeda as his real name. And he literally called Homeland Security right then and there to show he ain't playing around. Scott literally rattled off his resume to Broderick, yet this fool's still going to lie. It's pretty much, Scott called out Broderick for lying, just like Mitch called out Jim for lying. It's like, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Like Mitch said, I'm just trying to maintain the peace. Here's what you need to do. Don't lie about it. You're just going to make things worse. We don't want Mama Rose to know about this because we all know how she'll react. Same thing with Scott and Broderick. Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. We can get Homeland Security involved, or you can just tell me everything you know. Once again, I was actually thinking when they were in this surveillance room, I thought that Broderick was trying to shift the blame on maybe RK or possibly Rocky. Between the two, I thought he would have shoved it all on Rocky as being the head dude. Because remember, Broderick is on good terms with Candace, but at the same time, he doesn't trust Rocky. So I thought he would actually shove things in his direction. But notice that he actually protected Catherine by stating that she knew nothing about the prostitution ring, which is actually a lie. Because Broderick exposed the ring to Catherine last year, but then she made him dissolve the prostitution ring. But what I love so much is that Scott was doing what I said would happen. Yes, it's good that Candace has changed for the better. She's trying to get on the straight and narrow path, but that doesn't mean because you and Hannah made peace that you want to turn your life around. That doesn't mean your past is automatically swept away clean. There were people you screwed and they will come after you. And this is exactly what's happening. I mean, you got all that video footage. The main question is, how far is Scott going to go back? He said he's taking everything. Now, will he see, wait, isn't that Oscar or Brandon, the guy that we hired to sabotage Charles? He's with Candace. They went alone in a room. And then that's right before he's fell out of the window to his death. Candace Young did that. Now, of course, they didn't mention all this in the episode, but I'm just saying it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. That's all I'm saying. Now we know why the FBI is chasing RK through the hallways in that preview, because Scott has this information and they're going to go get his ass. So this is gearing up to be very, very interesting. And I wonder what's going to happen now because Candace, getting all this intel, Broderick knows how she gets, but he was in a difficult situation because this wasn't Catherine threatening to call, Homeland Security if they didn't have sex right then and there. Scott has him on speed dial. So this is getting real. And this is what I like to see. This was more than a setup episode. Shit was happening in this episode. Good stuff. Good stuff. Then we go to Candace and Charles having a sweet moment. Pretty much Charles is, wants Candace to go to his house because they got to get ready to move. I wonder when we're going to see his kids again. Kind of like Alex and Brad's kids on If Loving You Is Wrong. Like, when are we going to see him again? But then Danny from If Loving You Was Wrong comes in with a new haircut and everything. He's working on Charles's team. We knew about this a while ago. Like, I didn't know he was going to show up now. I thought he wasn't going to show up until season 7. So, hell, we might see Jeffrey Owens before the end of the year if this keeps up, because when they record these episodes, it's one way. It's like, hey, it's season 7, but then by the time it actually appears on OWN, it's like an entirely different season. But in any case, he pretty much warns Charles, like, look, things are getting bad. If Lisa puts out this story, it's going to tarnish your reputation. You got to choose between her and the White House. And actually, I'm trying to look through my notes here. I did not look at the end credits close enough to get his name at character. But either way, my thing is this. Whatever kind of role he plays on Charles's team, you know that Charles takes what he says seriously, because remember when Landon was telling him when this whole thing started, like, she is going to ruin you, Charles would not budge. But he is literally taking what, I'm just going to call him Danny, okay? He literally takes what David says to heart. So really, that's why he's kind of distant. Like, I'm going to take a shower by myself, because what he said hit him. He knew that, damn, I want Candace, but at the same time, it's going to mess things up. So in any case, we move to Candace calling Benny. Well, yeah, Candace and Benny on the phone. And I think the biggest takeaway here is the fact that, did Mama see? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it's like when Hannah comes in the room, he's like, oh, tell Ma I said hello. And she's like, hi. And I'm like, oh, that was such a great moment. That was such a great moment. And just, Candace and Benny having a tender moment like, oh, I'm your little brother and I'll watch out for you. I'm worried about you no matter what. And we just get to the whole, hey, we're going to the bank. But thank goodness Hannah told Benny what the plan was. We're allowed to keep the interest, but you're going to help me pay her back. Thank goodness we got that out in the open. And did you see how Benny, oh, yes, ma'am, I will not take money from people like that again. I'm like, thank goodness. But based off the preview for next week, we don't even know if the money's still there, which actually pisses me off. But we will get to that in the trailer breakdown. But we got someone knocking on the door. We can just assume it's Derek. I think we could just assume that's Derek. And I did a whole video on that, but yeah. Guys, I just love these scenes. They were all very good. Yeah, talk about the interest. Madison and David go to view the body. Then Veronica goes to the apartment. What was it? Spanish Moss Trail Apartments number 7. And it's kind of like, oh my God. And guys, we know that Jeffrey answers the door for Veronica. And we don't know whose body is under the sheet at the hospital. Now, put it this way. It's not Erica because Madison brought David to identify the African-American male that didn't make it because of the gunshots. And yeah, so we will see what happens there. But overall, like I said at the beginning, I actually enjoyed this episode. I think a 9 out of 10 is a fair score just because I felt the acting was on point. We got stuff moving. Things were actually making sense. I mean, of course, not the whole Madison calling the Harringtons prematurely before getting confirmation about Jeffrey. But I felt like that was more of because Madison knows the Harringtons and he felt close to Jeffrey and all this other crap. But yeah, I just felt like that was way too unprofessional. But at the same time, it is understandable. But like I said before, they want to sue the hospital, they can. Just like once again when it was announced that Wyatt was dead, what was it, Jennifer and the police came over to Catherine to tell them, and even Hannah was asked by Catherine to go tell Jim. Like, they could have sued the hell out of the police department for the false call on a death. So I don't think that was a smart move. But overall, we got Scott with Broderick, Mitch trying to keep the peace, rocking the Malone attire, Candace, Hannah, and Benny having just sweet moments over the phone. Once again, it was great. I loved the episode. Not perfect, hence why I didn't get a 9 out of 10, but I think it was pretty strong. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Tomorrow's not promised. What did you think? And I will do a separate video on like Jeffrey's alive. Like, how did you feel about the rug being pulled out from underneath you? I don't really feel any kind of way. I feel like overall these trailers show so much, and that actually kind of took the shock factor out of it. Like, yeah, we kind of knew Jeffrey was alive, hence why within the first 5 minutes of that Jeffrey dead video, I said, here's all the evidence pointing to Jeffrey being alive based off the future trailers. But at the same time, it's like, well, there's a possibility that Tyler Perry will, do something else. But I do wish that if Tyler Perry does, would just stop doing these red herrings and these false calls. I think that you might want to kill off a main character to show people you mean business. I mean, it would really show how you can really shake things up in the story by killing off someone. You don't have to replace them with 5 different other characters, but kill someone off and then see how things move forward. Like, I wanted to see Jeffrey dead, and then Veronica, how she would react to that. Like her threats to David. And like I said before, she had every right to chew David out. It's like, you allowed this. I mean, I do feel like she went a bit too far with the lifestyle thing because that's Jeffrey's choice. But at the same time, David just didn't do anything. I mean, literally, you went over there, you saw the gun. You are as guilty as Justin in a way. Not to say Jeffrey didn't. And this is another thing. The fact that Justin shot you and himself in the head, possibly with blanks in the guns, and you still spent the night there. I have no remorse for Jeffrey. So, once again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm sorry my energy isn't as, high or, it's been fluctuating the entire video. I'm exhausted. It is 4:30 a.m. This video won't be up until post noon. I'm about to go to sleep right now. But episode overall, I thought it was great. The preview for next week looks awesome. And guys, I'm looking at the numbers before I go to sleep, before I started recording. The channel got over 300 subscribers on Tuesday. You all are exceeding my expectations, so fingers crossed we can hit 80,000 subscribers before the month of June, and we should be hitting 15 million views within the next day or so. So I cannot thank you all enough for that. Let me know if you want my thoughts on the Aladdin film. I'll be more than happy to do a review. I probably will because, well, I spent 13 bucks on a ticket, so I might as well do a review on it. So that won't take priority though. The haves and the have-nots come first. But let me know your thoughts on this episode, and I will talk to you soon. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. If you like what you just saw, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, or if you have anything you would like to add to the video, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to keep up with me on social media, go to the description box. All of my links for social media are right there. Also, if you feel like you would like to donate to the channel, make sure to click on the link to PayPal. Any amount helps. $1, $5, $20. As a full-time YouTuber, any support from my fans really does mean a lot to me. Finally, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you're kept up to date on any new content I post to the channel. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in the next video.